Hey guys, welcome back. I got another video for you. I told you I'd do a more full review of the Seiko new Sumo reference SBDC097. This is continuing on their third gen of the Sumos, which gave them a pretty big upgrade in terms of you get a sapphire crystal and you get the new movement, or the upgraded movement, if you will, which is the 6R35. It's a 24 joule automatic movement with a much longer power reserve than before, which gives you, which I'll just start right there. I think that might be my favorite part about this watch. I think most of my movements are under the 70-hour power reserve, which this one has quite a lengthy one. And based on that, it's really, really nice to, I guess if you're a one watch guy, which you probably aren't because you're watching watch videos on YouTube, that's not something that is ever going to matter to you, because if you're wearing your watch every day, it's not a big deal. It's always going to be running. But if you're switching out your watches, it's so nice to put this down in the box for a couple days and then come back to it and it's still running and you can just throw it on. I found that really, really nice. Outside of that, if you guys don't know the Sumo, this was my first Sumo, so kind of was excited to get to wear one and mess around with it. They're big watches. I have a big wrist. I have a 7.5-inch wrist, and this, I'm not gonna lie, it felt big on my wrist. It's a 45 mil case, and it's 50, almost 53. I think measured at 52.6 lug tip to lug tip, and it's this new generation is a bit thinner, which is nicer. It's a 12.9. The older generation was above a 13. So that helps a little bit, but I think it's just something when I was first got it, trying to figure out, and I don't know if anyone else has had this problem, but trying to figure out the best way to size the bracelet so that it fit correctly. I couldn't get it right. It was like if I put an extra link in and I moved my my micro adjust on the clasp, it felt too big. And if I took the link out and then I adjusted it, the micro adjust down, it felt too tight. It was always like, I always wanted to wear, I don't know where you guys wear your watches, but I typically like to wear it just above the bone and like something like this, and it just kept wanting, you can see it wanted to like walk up on top of my bone, and I don't know why. I kept adjusting the bracelet to try to get the links evened out so it wasn't, one wasn't way longer than the other, etc. Moving that so you'd adjust where the clasp was, and I finally got it to where it would kind of stop, and you can see, that's basically what I ended up with. So that was, I guess, my first initial like annoyance with the watch, and I don't know whether to associate with the watch head or more of the bracelet or a combination of the both, just something that it was one of the first times I had trouble kind of getting the sweet spot, if you will, when adjusting the watch and getting it to fit my wrist perfectly. The clasp, I wish they gave you a bit of an upgraded clasp. You can see it's a stamped clasp. This is what is looking like it's going to retail in the US for $840, because I see Noman now finally has it. You just wish they'd give you something better than a stamped clasp. A milled clasp would be nice. You can get a milled clasp on a micro brand diver for around $500, and Seiko can't give it to you on an $840 watch. Another thing that seems to be interesting is they removed the signed crown. So it's just your standard crown, which that doesn't bother me. I actually don't really like the signed crowns, but I know that people do love them, so I wanted to call that out. You do get a bit of a diver's extension in the in this clasp. Let me pop it up for you. Sorry, it's kind of hard to do when it's so you can see you get a bit of a diver's extension. It's not quite what my only other watch that has a diver's extension is my Rolex Submariner, and that gives you quite a bit bigger extension. So I hope this would be enough. You can see it just hooks around and then you pop it closed. I think that's enough to get around your wetsuit, which is the intention of a diver's extension, but it does seem like a fairly small extension, if you will. So what else about the watch? We talked about the crown not being signed. We talked about the bracelet. The bracelet overall is it's good. It feels like a standard kind of Seiko bracelet. Again, I wish the clasp was a bit better. You do get micro adjust. You do get a diver's extension. It does have female end links, as you can see, which helps out the lug to lug not being any longer than it already is, you know, so this will drape down around your wrist. So if you have a smaller wrist, your bracelet can go straight down, and if they were a male and it stuck out a little bit, it would just make it even bigger. The accuracy on the movement, they say, is ranged to plus 25, minus 15. Mine was running absolutely fantastic at minus 1 second per day. So that was great. I think the one thing that a couple of things I really enjoyed about this watch that I haven't talked about yet. The first being the case shape and design. If you haven't had a Sumo before, it's got all the right lines. You can see how many different angles and bevels and chamfering it's got going on. And the other cool thing is the case comes up over the bezel on the sides. So plus and minus, you can really only grasp and action the bezel at the top and the bottom. You can't really do it on the sides because that case kind of is almost like a shroud that comes up over the top, as you can see there. So something to keep in mind. But it does have, visually, it creates a really cool effect. I mean, it almost looks like the bezel is recessed in there. Not that I keep saying the bezel, sorry about that. But it's a really cool effect. The case design on this is really cool. The action is great. A lot better than my Turtle. It's not gummy. It's not easy. It's very tactile. It's not a loud action. It's fairly muted. Nice tactile clicks. It does line up. Chapter ring lines up. Bezel lines up. Everything's good. It does have a little bit of back play to it. You can see as you walk it forward. So yeah, pretty good. The font, as you can see, if you're a big Sumo fan, is updated on the third gen, and it's a bit different. The best thing about this watch and kind of the closing point is going to be the color. The sunburst, they're calling it almost like an anthracite. It's a very warm gray. It's not cold. It's not, so it's going to lean more towards gray with red tones to it than it's going to lean towards gray with blue tones to it. And that could be a bit of the orange second hand kind of playing into account there. But it's definitely warmer than most of the other anthracites I've had in the past, which is kind of cool. It almost leans towards like a pewter, if you will, like if you're familiar with that color. But it's a great color. I mean, I like the pop of the orange second hand. It kind of gives it some fun. I think if they would have done just a silver second hand or black or something, it would have been a boring combination to me. But the way that the orange and the anthracite and the sunburst kind of play together, it makes it a great combination. So, what else can we talk about? I think that's the most of it. It's 200 meters water resistance. The 70-hour power reserve. I guess the previous Sumos had a 50-hour power reserve, so 70 hours is great. It runs at 3 hertz or 21.6 in terms of BPH, 21,600 beats per hour. Yeah, I think the box, I kind of showed this in my unboxing video. It's a pretty standard Seiko white box, outer box, and then you got your manual in there, and it just comes in a nice pouch. Pretty basic, nothing to write home about there. Let me know what you think, guys. I do want to say thanks. I hit 1,000 subscribers. This is just me having fun on my own, buying watches and talking about them. So for me, I pay out of my pocket, but I think, with the channel growing, I'm going to be able to start getting more resources in here and more funds to be able to get more watches. So hopefully it keeps growing. I have 3 or 4 watches that I haven't reviewed. I'll kind of talk about those. So this is how she wears. She's a thicker watch. She's a bigger watch, but man, she's a looker once you get her on wrist. Again, I have about a 7.5 inch wrist, and it fits great. If you're not a Sumo guy, it's a bigger watch, but it still fits once you get it adjusted. Like I said, the big negative for me was just trying to figure out how to get it very comfortable. I'll probably be selling this watch, so if anyone's interested, like I said, brand new, you can get it at Noman for $840. One of my subscribers or someone watching this, if you are curious, just leave a comment. I'd probably do 800 shipped. So just let me know. It's pretty much in perfect condition. I wore it a week. It doesn't even really have desk diving marks on the bracelet. So nothing, you're just going to save, $40 and plus tax or whatever if you're buying it. So let me know. Appreciate it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks and see ya.